Welcome back to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. Oh, what a chat show we have for you today. Jamie is choking to death as I speak, so it's going to be historical on that level. It's also my birthday, so it's a weird way for me to celebrate her dying.
It's all your dreams are coming true.
All of my everyone loves Jamie but Jamie. Everyone likes the gal but her. As you can see by the cobwebs, I'm not the only one getting old. Wait, what? It is Halloween weekend. I don't know when you're listening or watching this after the fact, but we are celebrating All Hallows Eve. I was born on Halloween Eve, today the 30th, so big celebrations have been going on for about a week. I like birthday week. If I can get 2 weeks out of the deal, I'm even happier. I can't get enough of my birthday because I share a birthday with my father, who's long since passed. But growing up, this sucked. When I told people I have the same birthday as my father, I got the same reaction every time. Wow, that's so cool. No, it isn't. It's the opposite of so cool. It sucks. Because your birthday is supposed to be your day. That's right, your day. Oh, sure, some years we celebrated how I wanted to, but most years we just, ended up at the track. Where my dad would say, remember, Kev, if that horse number 5 comes in, you can get that tricycle you've been asking about. He might have said bitching about. That tricycle you've been bitching. Huh? That was a blast from the past.
If I remember your act from 12 years ago correctly, it was bitching.
Yeah. When Jamie and I first met, I did that bit.
That was a staple in your act at the time.
Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Yeah. I used to love conjuring pops during the act. Not so much these days. It's been forever. Like maybe 15 years. Been a long time. Jamie, how are you enjoying the Halloween weekend? You went to a party last night. Tell everyone about your trio of costumes.
Oh, we went to the party that has a theme every year. Last year the theme was time traveling. So I got to go as Homer with his time traveling toaster from Treehouse of Horror.
Genius.
But this year the theme was characters in their pajamas.
Characters in their pajamas. Now, did you inquire if this were characters famously in pajamas?
No, it ended up being people in a lot of onesies. Like, I'm in a Little Mermaid onesie.
Oh, I see.
It ended up being a lot of that.
But you guys went with...
I was like, characters in the pajamas, and I'm like, all right. And then I was like, well, half the characters in Pulp Fiction are already in their pajamas. Let's go with this. So I was Jimmy, Quentin Tarantino, and then Corey was Lance, Eric Stoltz, and J-Mac went as Vincent Vega after he had to take off his bloody suit. And it was in
after the hose down.
Yeah, after the hose down.
Now,
which was kind of like pajamas.
Your costume was kind of perfect, and the ratty robe that I remember Tarantino's character having in the movie, in your hands morphed into something shipped in from another country. Where did your robe come from?
I needed a red robe with almost like polka dots all over it. So I found a robe, like some textile company in the UK had it shipped.
Textile company in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of commitment I'm talking about, people, for Halloween. If you can't get the right costume, look to the motherland.
Halloween's very stressful. And then we had to make another, and then tomorrow our group costume, we're doing Young Frankenstein, so that was another.
Which means I finally get to shave most of my face.
Yes, and you weren't allowed to cut your hair
down to this.
for
I've not
3
cut
weeks.
my hair more than 3 weeks worth of I would have cut my hair ago. And
it's commitment. It's all commitment.
I remember the Gene Wilder's character in Frankenstein had a serious comb over, like starting just above the ear, and it went crazy over. So I'm looking forward to that. And we'll be back here for a Halloween party at the West Side Comedy Store.
Yeah, and I was like, it's a lot of effort for a Halloween party where we will stand around and not be able to talk to each other because there's live band karaoke going on and it's too loud.
And it's too loud.
So,
yeah. And
then we'll end up in the alleyway because that's the only way you can hear people.
Yeah, and then around midnight I'll be like, you guys are Ubering home, I'm done.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes. I can look into the future and see that happening. Sam Levine, where's Sammy? Well, He's in Chicago. Speaking of homeland, his homeland, I got him, yes, I'm going to take all the credit, a much coveted ticket to Game 5 of the World Series. Now, unfortunately, when I got this ticket, the World Series had not yet begun, and he did not know that he would be staring down the barrel of his team in a deficit of 1-2-3, facing elimination the next 3 games. They were a huge favorite to win the World Series. Now, not so much. Down 1-3. But Sammy will be look for him on your television screen tonight. If you should watch the game, if you're streaming live. If you're watching this after the fact, you know what happened, and there you go. Thinking about checking out other recent shows, you say? All right. Perhaps you and your pals for Halloween went as the cast of Stranger Things. I'm going to guess the most popular of this season. We had Sheriff Hopper, David Harbour, himself a couple of weeks back, live on the show. That's in the library. Check that out.
That was at an LA Podfest that our guest may have also been at.
Not only may have been, she
was, because we said hi.
That was the first time, maybe the third time I yelled in her face, you have to be on our show. And then we locked the date, which I easily forgot about. And then when I asked her to do it today, she said, oh, good, because I wasn't sure if we were just going to stick with what you had said last week or 2 weeks ago, you idiot. She left out the you idiot because she's very, very kind. If you'd like to write to us, I'm not going to stop you. In fact, I'm going to encourage you. KPCS, as in Kevin Pollak's chat show, KPCS fanmail @gmail.com. Coming to you live on the YouTube. You're listening on the Earwolf. How are you getting us? Subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Now, we do have the opportunity for you to win a T-shirt on occasion, should you write in or tweet us a Larry King game. Our guest does not yet know about the Larry King game, I can't imagine. It's something that all the guests are asked to do at the end of the show. She has a background in improv, so it should be zero problem. The Larry King game, we asked for a bad Larry King impression, and then as Larry, share something that no one needs to know ever, as he would do on his old show, and then go to the phones. And if the name of the city is funny sounding, not going to hurt. This one comes from Brian Hardy. Brian, I don't want you to get cocky. You were chosen for a different reason, other than quality.
Oh, no.
You went with quantity. So you were chosen because this is the longest Larry King game in history. Congratulations. In fact, I'm going to have to switch out of a bad Larry King impression into a arguably flawless impression of someone else during the Larry King game. Here we go. When I first began my career in journalism, I had a major problem. My pants kept falling down during the interview. It was embarrassing. 1 minute I'm asking Kevin Pollak a question about what kind of sandwich he likes to eat. The next minute he's doing commentary on my Scooby-Doo underwear as Christopher Walken. Wow, Larry, I never knew that Scooby and Shaggy would stoop so low for an on-air advertising. Larry, maybe you should ask Scooby what kind of sandwich he likes to eat. I think that's your penis. I added that part. So I came up with a brilliant idea. I would just went into Brian Dole Murray. Came up with a brilliant idea. I would change my wardrobe to avoid more embarrassment. First, I tried different colored socks. The audience went crazy for them, especially on Polka Dot Day. Went over like old people eating molasses, and since my feet were up on the desk, I didn't have to worry about my pants falling down. However, we're about halfway through this. You may need a Sherpa to get to the end of this. I soon realized that my toe fungus was seeping through my shoes, and as a result, my guests were cutting their interviews short because of the smell. Next were overalls. Now that was a fiasco. I don't even want to mention the chicken coop incident. What the fuck? I finally settled on suspenders. Not only do I look great while doing interviews, but the pressure from the suspenders pushed my shoulders down, making it easier for the guests to see my face while I asked them questions. Wait for it. Marshfield Hills, you're on the line. There we have the longest, seemingly endless Larry King game ever. A T-shirt coming your way. Brian Hardy. Write to us at kpcsfanmail@gmail.com with your Larry King game. You too can win a t-shirt. Speaking of which, Brian Hardy, write us again with your t-shirt size and address you would like this sent to, you stupid son of a bitch. All right, that is it for the preamble, I believe. Unless, Jamie, there's anything you want to add.
No, just wait. When you went into Brian Bill Murray. J-Mac yelled at me.
No, man.
When you went into Brian Bill Murray, made me think of, he had an incident recently.
Our dear friend and former neighbor, as of quite recently, arguably our favorite neighbor in history.
Best neighbor you could ever have. How would you not want Brian Dole Murray as your neighbor?
Yeah, he and Tina live one block over with their 5 wonderful animals. Let's name them all. Jamie would turn Giant Zeke, the large lab, into a human pillow. But he would walk over for one of our little gatherings and say, "Yeah, traffic was a bitch. Sorry you're late." He had walked 1 block. "I got stuck behind a woman and her Yorkie," he said one time. So he, of course, lifelong Cub fan. In fact, he was born a couple of days before they were last at the World Series 71 years ago. I want to wish a happy 71st to Brian Dole tomorrow, Halloween. He slipped on some beer at Wrigley, broke his femur. Is that right? Femur. He broke his femur and had a fever, and so he said he showed a picture was him in a cast watching the game from a special
like a box.
Yeah, with a lift for somebody with a wheelchair. And so I wrote, "Wait a second, you went to the hospital, got the cast on, and came back and watched the game?" No. I went downstairs, found a doctor, had him put a splint on it. And I had to watch the game to stick around for Billy to sing "Take Me Out to the Ballpark." So his brother Bill, there's a great YouTube video of Bill Murray singing "Take Me Out to the Ballpark" as Daffy Duck. It's one of the great, he refers to Daffy as
the greatest entertainer of all time.
The greatest entertainer of all time.
No, and then we got all these, like, Brian took a video from the ambulance. It's very Police Squad-like.
Yes.
It's,
with his foot.
Yeah. I don't know, it was a whole thing. He's
So lots of love and happy birthday and heal well. And now it's time for our guest, Yay, who's been sitting very patiently. Please welcome Janet Varney. Now, Janet, welcome. That happened very suddenly.
It did.
Can we get you your iced tea?
Sure.
Yeah.
You don't mind advertising that brand, do you?
No.
Maybe someone can tell me how to properly
they sell
pronounce
that
it.
brand here at the West Side Comedy Theater.
Do they?
They do, so there you go.
At a convenient low price.
That's right. Thanks, Brian,
thank
greatest
you.
intern that ever lived.
This is Tejava or something, the unsweetened tea.
The unsweetened tea.
I feel like there's a lot of unsweetened tea, Kevin. I couldn't be.
Do you have a particular flavor in mind? Because Jamie went a little nuts with a recent flavor of a tea, and people started picking it up for because it's not easy to find. And
Oh, really?
Suddenly there were 32 of them on the counter.
This one is making its living by talking about how plain it is. It's one of those. Like, no, it's not raspberry, it's not this, it's not that. It's just black tea.
Original black tea.
It has nothing else but tea in it. That's all they've got.
Yeah.
So because that's all they've got, they're pushing that's all they've got as like, hey, this is all we got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a real.
They really are pushing
I would say it's making lemonade from lemons, but this is tea, and there's no lemons in it.
No parma there, and I'm afraid.
That's
we're
all
out
the
of
time we have.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Janet.
Brian. Was his name Brian?
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, before we delve into your delightful, if not wildly pre-sorted past, see what I did there? Let's talk Stand Against Evil.
All right, I'd love to.
Yeah. So damn excited for this. Yeah.
I'm so glad. Thanks for coming to the premiere. That was awesome to see you guys there.
Jamie and I went to the first 2-episode premiere at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Yeah.
Which, had you been for a thing there before?
I had, and it's one of those things that got so popular, not to be the like, I listened to Fish in the Womb or whatever, but the thing that becomes so popular that then the people who originally went were like, I don't care for this anymore. It's not that, but it did get so incredibly crowded and popular that it became like a huge commitment. Yeah, you're like, well, we got to get there X amount of time early, or I guess if you send in the person who's willing to do that, you know, the friend of yours you don't really like, but who's
hey, we
willing
did
to
that to J-Mac.
See, there you go. But yeah, so
I was like, Jane Doe, she jumped out of the car with a bunch of blankets. I threw blankets at him. I was like, go.
Yeah.
Some people are better at just like biding their time
Setting
and
up
chilling
camp.
out and setting up camp, and they know that they've done something that makes them the responsible party, so you owe them. It's a wonderful symbiotic relationship, but I sort of pulled out of going to them. And so now I like going when it's like a movie that most people don't care about. Like I remember I saw The Party, you know, that Peter Sellers movie?
And most people didn't care.
Yeah,
about
most people didn't go.
I
think it was also like on a Sunday night because the next day was a holiday. Something where you can sort of weed out the people who are going because it's Carrie at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery on Halloween or whatever, when it's just overwhelming.
Can I offer a writer's comedy punch-up?
I wish you would.
Okay. When you present the story in that setup to someone like me, and you get to the naming of the movie, make it a movie that I was in.
All right.
When you set it up by saying, you know, you go to a movie that nobody cares about. That's where my insecurity went. Is she going to name a movie I was in?
You know, Janet's one of those classic insult comics. So, of course, that's going to be where my mind goes.
So you went and saw The Party there. Is that a real story, or is that just an example?
100%. Yeah, they showed The Party there, and I really feel like there was a smattering of people there.
I love that movie.
It's so good.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah. So Jamie and I went, and we were fortunate that some muckety mucks threw us the parking and the special VIP section. That made it all very easy.
We still brought our Kirkland chairs.
But we still brought our Dr. Kirkland bought beach chairs.
You know what to do.
Oh yeah. They had nice little setup
they had these
with resting
blankets
pillows
and
yeah.
like a
But it was
pizza
still
box
damp.
that had pizza in it, but then also that was meant to be your little table for the other free food.
Yeah.
They really hit it out of the park. It was nice. I'm glad, because in case everyone had hated it, they would have had all those other positive things. That's probably what it was,
That's right.
Like, what things can we do that they'll still be happy even if they hate our show?
That's right.
Yeah.
IFC did a hell of a job.
Yeah.
And the weather was perfect.
Yeah, it was really nice.
And you never know what you're going to get into when you set these dates.
Yeah. I mean, with LA, you're a little safer than most places. But look, it was raining when I came here today,
That's
so
right.
could have been.
We had a little pumpkin gathering party, pumpkin carving gathering, I should say, and it drizzled a little bit on that Sunday a week ago. Yeah.
I get so excited when it does.
Yeah, of course. Any weather.
Yeah.
Where we're from San Francisco,
Yes.
where there is weather.
And I loved that weather. I didn't like the full force winds that would somehow kick up that no one talks about. Like, people talk about the wind in Chicago.
Right.
But they don't talk about the wind in San Francisco, but it's cruel, Kevin.
Yeah, it comes
It's a cruel
off that
wind.
body of water out
Yeah,
there.
but the rest of it I love, and so I'm always happy when there's a nice fog in the air. And you guys live on this side of town, so you get that more often than I do. I don't really have.
Yes.
I mean, I'm by Griffith Park, so it's usually
You went inland.
toastier. I went inland because I wanted the hills, and I love that park. But those are the choices, right? When you come from San Francisco, you're sort of either in the Silver Lake area, because something about that feels like the Bay Area, or you come out to the water.
Yeah. I started in the middle of town and then eventually came out to
Did
the
you? Where did you start out? Hollywood? West
No,
Hollywood?
I was up Doheny above Sunset.
Oh, okay.
Before Sunset was a parking lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You were born in the city?
No, my mom was. So if we want to jump a generation, yes.
Sure.
But I was born in Arizona, which is where I went to
that's
grade
right.
school and high school and
That's right.
2 years of college.
2 years.
Yeah.
At,
I should say 2.5 at Northern Arizona University.
I'll say.
Which is in Flagstaff. Beautiful old Route 66.
Uh-huh.
It's actually a great town. It's a great, it's one of those weird, like Northern Arizona is one of those weird sort of pot smoking hippies, college kids, and then just like gun-toting Republicans, and then there's an Indian reservation like 5 minutes away.
That's right.
So it's a real melting pot.
Yeah. I shot a movie in the Flagstaff.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. One of those ones that would have been funny to mention.
Yeah.
When
If
you
I
said
could have pulled that.
7 people were there to
That's
see
right.
it. Yeah.
In retro, they actually apologized. Like, I don't know why we thought this was a good idea.
Yeah.
They said at the beginning of this
That was
movie.
one of those movies I did that, you go in with all the best intentions. Script's good, everything's good, and then...
Was it like a little indie movie?
Yeah, of course.
So then you've already made peace with the idea that maybe no one will see it, right? Though.
Absolutely.
Or you're like, hey,
Yeah.
listen, if this lands, great. If not, no
Always.
big deal. Yeah.
Always. But it opened on an airplane.
Okay.
And it was only on flights between LA and San Francisco, so you had to have a round trip to see the whole film. Worst joke ever. So Jamie and I had a great time, right? And we love the show. Well, we've known Dana Gould
You've
for
known
a
Dana forever,
very
yeah.
long time. I mean, he of course, is from Boston, but I would like to say he planted his flag in stand-up comedy in San Francisco.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and he was sort of the graduating class behind, like me and Dana Carvey and Bobby Slayton, and then Dana Gould was with probably a much
Like
stronger
Greg Barron, Jimmy
class.
Garofalo.
Oh yeah, but also
Ellen, did you say like Ellen
Ellen
and Bill Maher?
DeGeneres, Robbie Schneider,
Bill Maher? No?
Greg Proops, Jake Johansson.
There you go.
Yeah, Paula Poundstone, ridiculous
Yeah.
group. Yeah, amazing. Kevin Meaney, who's also from Boston, but really came in through San Francisco in that same generation. May he rest in peace quite recently. So love and rooting for Dana, and then of course Jamie, her entire life raised by The Simpsons.
Yeah.
So she probably memorized the name Dana Gould as a 7-year-old.
Well, he's in those tricky seasons.
Tricky?
Well, where it like, he was in the rough, I hate to say he was like writing during those rough seasons. It was like seasons like 13 through like 18, where it's like, there'd be a gem in there, here and there, but they weren't great.
Well, he wasn't in charge of the
I
show,
know, but I'm
he
just
was-
saying.
Yeah.
That's
I feel like
How does that compare with when Conan was there?
Oh, seasons like 2 through, I would go as far as 12, or like, those are the classics.
Yeah.
Those are the, yeah.
But Conan O'Brien wasn't there season 2. Like he was a youngster.
No,
so
he
when
was
did come
he
in?
was out of there by like season 5.
So when was he there? Did he start early, season 1, 2? Conan?
Conan? Yes.
Oh, he did. He was right out of college. Conan.
I mean, he must have been, because
Yeah.
when I think about the first season and how young I
26
was,
years
yeah,
ago.
that's bananas.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So Conan's almost 50 or damn near.
Yeah.
Now we're definitely out of time.
I'll talk about The Simpsons all day long with you if you want. Dana's great.
Were you raised with them as well, The Simpsons?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was. It's funny because I don't know if did you watch the Tracy Ullman show? Because that's what I think of is I can't think about I still don't think about The Simpsons without thinking about that show. So
Wow.
that's, in that way, I mean, I was raised, I think, a lot by sketch, but, and The Simpsons kind of peeled off of that. And there are definitely seasons that I watched where I was avidly watching, and I do remember tons and tons of lines from. And then there are huge swaths of time where I just fell off and wasn't watching, and wouldn't be able to tell you who wrote when and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's an amazing show, and the absurdity of the show was what I was excited about when Dana said he was doing this. I thought, God, is he going to be able to infuse live action with some of that ridiculousness, or some of those just like Easter eggs that are fun for comedy fans that other people won't care about or know?
Like
And he
the
did.
newspapers.
Yeah, like Cloud looks like dump truck, stuff like that. You can just kind of put that right into a Simpsons
Crazy
context.
bananas.
And,
Guy goes crazy bananas.
Yeah, he used the term
newspaper
crazy
headline.
bananas, and I wrote that to him, and he said, "You're the first to caught that."
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So that kind of stuff, I love that sort of, I definitely have that sensibility in terms of what I think is funny. And usually there's a lot of like, almost everything I've shot that I had the most fun doing, that I laugh the most during, I realize that if I say something stupid, that's like the highest compliment, because I'm usually saying it through laughter. So I clearly like dumb stuff, because if I'm laughing really hard, I'm usually like, so stupid, so stupid. So I found that out about myself.
That's like, right.
And that's how Dana is too. Like we would be tickled by something on set, and we would just both be laughing. And I saw him do it too. He was just like, so stupid.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'm in good hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very quick to say, as he did that night at the Q&A afterwards, that he wrote this character with you in mind.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean, it's too late now, but I don't know if that's something I want. Like, I have mixed feelings about it, because part of me feels like now I have no excuse, if someone's like, she just seems so uncomfortable, and it's kind of like, what is she? She's really, she's being stretched out of her range, then that's awful.
Sure.
And it was so wonderful of him to say that during the process, but I also attached a lot of foreboding to that, because, and I'm sure this has happened to you, where somebody writes something thinking like, the only person who can do this is Kevin, and then 5 network executives are like, well, now that you've said that, like, we probably would have cast Kevin, but there's something we don't like about you thinking you're sure about that. Can we go a totally different way?
That's right.
So I also have this.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's like a PTSD, where when he says that, I feel like someone's still going to fire me.
Yes.
Like, it's too late. We already shot it. It's coming out.
Yes.
But there's still a part of that that's like, hold up, don't admit that.
Yes.
this could all go away tomorrow,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Let's talk about this after the fact.
Exactly. So I don't know, but it's really nice, and obviously it's amazing that I guess if it hadn't been written for me, then I could talk about how proud I was. Like, nobody thought I could be an action person, and then I proved them all wrong through the audition process.
Right.
But he came at it thinking like, I think you're enough of a badass that if I write the stuff for you to do, you'll be able to do it in somewhat of a convincing way, keeping in mind that it's a comedy.
Yeah.
And so I really, that was very encouraging. So I started, it's nice when you can start something going, someone believed that I could do this, okay.
Yes. Insecurity first.
Yes,
Let's put our insecure foot forward first.
Let's get it right in there. Assume that there's black tar, if not quicksand, right in front of you for that first foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember this writer-director named Rod Lurie. I knew him through poker, and one night at the poker table he said, I'm writing the script. I'm on it around page 40. This is something I want to direct. He'd sold a couple of scripts. And this is something I'm going to direct, and I'm writing the lead with you in mind. And I said, so you want no one to see your film? What's the matter with you? But that's the first thought.
I know.
But also, as a pragmatist, if I'm number one, if a character actor is number one on your call sheet, you need to shoot higher. And he said, no, you'll understand. It's the first Jewish president, and blah blah blah.
Oh, that's great.
And he's an everyman, and he is sort of what you represent to your audience, who knows your workbook and whatever. His next movie was amazing, The Contender with Joan Allen, Jeff Bridges, and Gary Oldman. Yeah, so this is the movie right before that called Deterrence.
And did you do it?
And I did it.
I'm sorry that I haven't seen it.
No. 11 people saw it. I was right.
Yeah.
But it is something I'm super proud of. But at the time when he said, I'm writing this with you in mind, it was a very strange feeling.
Yeah.
You would think, oh, how great, that must be such a compliment.
Well, we find a way to, I was just talking about this with Kirsten Vangsness, actually, who's on Criminal Minds. She was on my podcast, and we kind of went down that road of like, especially if you're a kid who had that experience of, being teased or being bullied or whatever, and that if any part of your comedy came out of those negative experiences, so much of that becomes like, even in this business, this sort of idea of like, wait, let me say the shitty thing about myself before you can.
Right.
Because then I'm in control of it.
That's right.
And I think that's something that, you and I both definitely carry around, is like, I would rather seem like I hate myself than seem like I have a big head and I think I'm the shit, because someone will make sure to take me down immediately.
I wonder if that is what's been going on with Jamie all these years, because I always wonder why everyone's a fan of her but her.
Well,
and I
because
wonder,
whenever you're constantly, when you're told up until you were like 16 years old that you're a weirdo and nobody likes you and you look
really
like
look
a
forward
dyke,
to you doing my podcast. I can't believe you haven't yet. This is gonna be great.
Then like you're gonna hate yourself. Like, and then it's funny because it's like I meet these people today, like Janet, and I was like, where were you when I was in junior high and had no friends and was the weirdo that was recording Conan O'Brien from the night before and running home to watch it
at 13.
Yeah,
we would have been tight. Because I was
why?
also getting pushed down by people in the hall for no reason.
Like I was like, where was she when I was a junior high? Like,
you guys have each other now.
Yeah, no, we're gonna talk about this on LJV Club.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that at great length. And we had Johnny C. on the show quite recently.
Oh, nice! I didn't know he'd done it yet. That's
Johnny
great.
C. McGinley, and
do you guys know each other from before?
We had met.
That feels like a lot of ships passing in the
passing,
night, if you didn't already know each other. Yeah,
we were fans of each other, but we didn't know each other at all. He is such a power to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
And a positive force of nature.
Yeah.
That you either get the fuck on board or get the fuck out of the way.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so had you known him prior?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I think maybe we met once, but
Right.
no, I was a huge fan of his, and when his name started getting bandied about, I got real excited. And yeah, I mean, we had a great time.
Yeah.
I really, really love working with him. We had a really good time.
It's a strange, also a type of comedy that you have to commit to the drama of it, even though the most ridiculous and silly things are happening.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, I think...
I'd rather play it real.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I say that, but I feel like if we were like, let's take a look at you playing it real, Janet, and then you threw it a clip reel, it would just be like the biggest over-the-top character. It's like, I don't know what show she's in, but everyone else is playing it real. But I do like that, and I particularly like that in the sort of like horror comedy realm, just because it can get like wackadoo like so fast.
Yeah,
it's nice to have, and when we talk about the sort of The Simpsons gets to be wackadoo because it's a cartoon, but watch out if you try to do something that's that over the top in real life. There could be a lot of eye rolling, and I feel like tone is so important, and the more you watch, maybe if you're somebody who likes doing it or is a huge fan of the zeitgeist of whatever's going, like Stranger Things or whatever. Like I just started watching Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. Do you know this? This is like a Douglas Adams like Hitchhiker's Guide, which is also this sort of like really over the top like goofball. And it's one of those shows where I just watched the first episode and was like, like, is it going to find its footing? Because some of the characters are so wacky that you just don't feel like they're grounded in anything. And
I feel like we had that with a show recently where it was just too ridiculous.
I remember saying that difficult people had the possibility to do it, and it reined it in enough.
Yeah, and I think this show will too, where you sort of see,
I think that's
you go, that's a pilot, so probably it's going to kind of,
Oh, you know what it was? You don't like Kimmy Schmidt. That's what it is.
It's why Kimmy Schmidt rubbed me the wrong way, because everyone is so ridiculous.
Yeah,
yes,
I've never
that's
seen
what it was.
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of comedy.
You don't watch a lot of comedy?
I don't.
What's happening there?
I think I like...
Like you tune in and give something a chance and then go?
Honestly, most of the time, it's not even like, it's not that I'm not giving it a chance, like, oh, this is going to make me laugh. I just think in my regular life of kind of, I want to be entertained and be immersed and disappear into something, it's really hard if it's people that I know.
Yeah.
It's that, and they are wonderful. These are friends. It's that I did not watch The Office, and I had a ton of friends on it. Because I had a ton of friends on it,
right.
I would just be like, I gotta call Oscar. Why haven't I? And then you're just out of it.
Yeah.
But so I lean in hard to like the sort of BBC dark murder stuff that I didn't know I was doing that until you sort of see what Netflix recommends or what iTunes recommends to you, and you're like, is that? I guess I like psychopaths and like suicide. Okay, all right.
Also,
sure.
too, like it's your job right now to like watch all those submission videos, so it's like you want to break from that.
Yeah, I also don't go see stand up or sketch very often, just because I know it's all going to come to me, or I'm going to be watching it for work or thinking about it for work.
Yes,
yeah, that's true.
San Francisco Sketch Fest is another thing that we will talk about in great detail, whether you like it or not.
Accepted. I'll just turn it back on you and say how great it is that you've helped us get some of our heroes and stuff. So that's good.
That's fine.
I'll turn it right around.
How about only 3 days to shoot an episode? When Dana gave the statistics out of the super tight schedule.
Yeah.
The good news with a place like IFC.
You get to do what you want for no money.
You get to do what you want for Zippo.
Yeah.
And it instantly becomes careful what you wish.
Yeah.
Because the freedom is spectacular. It doesn't exist in most television experiences. Right. And I imagine early on, it's easy to go bootstraps. We got this. It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
We got this. So what? When does the curve start to go? Well, oh my God, what are we doing?
I'll tell you what. I'm really glad that I didn't think about it broken down that way.
Good.
Like, oh, okay, it's what it really breaks down to is X amount of pages, or this is the, if you're doing an episode in 3 days, like, I don't know if that particular statistic is true. If he actually said that, that's terrifying. But because we had to block shoot, you're sort of, we shot the first 4 and then we shot the second 4, and you're flying around so much within you're flying around so much within those 4 episodes that you kind of don't think about. You just know you're shooting a bunch of shit all at once.
Yeah.
And the hardest part is someone saying, now, okay, so remember in this, you just came from blah, blah, blah. That's the hardest when you're, that wild out of order. And the relationship with John and me, like how far in, there would be times where we would shoot something where we actually really have got a connection going, and then the next scene we shoot, someone would be like, oh, by the way, remember this is the first day you've met each other. And we'd go, right, okay, so totally different tone.
Yeah, let's dial people in on what it actually means to block shoot. Because until you've done it, you maybe even heard the term and heard the explanation, and you still don't know what the hell you're in for.
Good point.
So 4 episodes. So you would have a scene in the house. Sometimes a certain angle. We're shooting everything out
100%.
facing this way.
100%.
Which means wardrobe changes, day changes,
Makeup
episode
changes.
makeup changes.
Yeah.
Just because the camera and everything and the lights are not going to move.
That's right.
So all the players have to go through the most ridiculous ordeal.
Yeah.
In fact, it's counterproductive to the creative process.
Yeah.
And I only did this on a sketch show when I first moved to LA. There was a TV sketch show that did that. And then when I finally got onto a TV show or something, they had a big budget, but it was only a couple things.
Yeah.
It wasn't the entire shoot that way.
Yeah.
And I found it challenging and kind of cool in how challenging and bizarre a world it was.
Yeah.
As long as people were there to articulate what frame of mind my character would, and to help me.
Oh God, and the script supervisor, who of course is the person who's responsible when people talk about continuity and stuff. This is this person who, God help you. Like that is an undersung song of, praise for those people, because to be like, usually in a normal scene, like in a normal context, you're shooting this one thing and someone will come up to you and say, well, Kevin, I think you were actually holding the mug in your right hand, right? Yeah. That's sort of when you're like, oh, thank you for remembering that.
Yes.
Then you add on top of that, like, okay, so this was the second episode, so your ponytail was on this side, but also you had that smear of dirt that we have to now recreate because we're back to that, which is, again, that's a normal thing for a movie. But if you're doing that within the course of a day, and it might be that, like, well, we shot all of John's stuff in this direction. This is the extreme version, but like we shot all of John's stuff in the direction on a different day entirely.
Yes.
So how do we match the back of you to that? And I did a thing. I'm on the show called You're the Worst, and I flew kind of on a red eye and shot just one really long day with them, was all we could spare from Stan, and flew back, and they had to use a double, which was my first experience, where there was a double, and because they had already shot a bunch of stuff with a girl from the back who was dressed as me, that was a whole new limitation, because the director would come up and say, I'm so sorry, but they're telling me that she didn't move her arms at all in this part where
Why are you expressing yourself?
there's and I was like, oh, it was so limiting that I had to match someone else's body. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I won't gesture or do anything at all. I'll just be statue still. So these are all the things that you don't necessarily think about when there's time between the same moment in a scene. Or
cut to the only review you see of that whole season is about how robotic.
That's right. I don't know what happened to Janet Varney, but
so emotionless.
She had some sort of weird standing paralysis happening.
Was she under a dare?
That's right. It's a dare-based show. It's a dare-based show.
And not move your arms.
That's right.
Wow. So, the block shoot experience, I can't even fathom.
But you also kind of get into that, like, I'm sure this is true for you. It's the same with, people who work different shifts, where you're sort of like, okay, well, this month they've got me on the morning shift, so I have to be there at work at 7 a.m. every day, and then next month they're going to put me on the late shift, so I'll be working till 1 in the morning, and that just changes your sleep schedule. But I think on a very minute version, it is sort of like the guy who works on the nuclear submarine, who's like, where you go, what about daylight? Like, how is that? And those people have just found a way to go, well, I'm on a submarine, so that's not the way my brain works. And I think that's, if you're able to survive doing low budget stuff and still walk away feeling joyous about it, which I am, like I'm so excited to do hopefully season 2. You have to move past the sort of like, in a normal context, I would have slept, or
That's right.
I wouldn't be, I wouldn't have an ice pack on the front of my chest and on my back just for a second to try to lower my body temperature, because we're shooting in Georgia in the middle of summer, and I'm wearing polyester, and they're having me run through the forest, So these are things you find out.
How was your experience shooting all those? Was it 8 episodes in 6 weeks? Yeah. So were you able to arrive a little in advance to Hotlanta?
Yeah, I think I was there a week before, which was good to adjust to the time difference and the humidity. And you were outside. Are there sound stages now? Because they shoot
50 things.
Yeah.
It's Canada South.
For sure. It's
Yeah.
100% Canada South. The one thing I noticed is they don't ever have signs showing you where you're supposed to go, which is very common to LA. And for some reason, I guess, I mean, it feels like if you've gotten to the point where for so many years everything shoots there now, you'd maybe be past the point of worrying about looky-loos or
Sure.
whatever. But for whatever reason, there's just never any production signs. So
Base
you
camp
are,
this way.
you are really relying on your GPS because you kind of don't know, and you're in the middle of nowhere, and you're sort of like, well, I hope I'm not the only one who shows up at this deserted parking lot at 5 in the morning.
A lot of night shoots.
A lot of night shoots.
Yeah.
But I just kind of like you sort of bear down and
also it's
you walk away and it's short and you walk away going I've never been given the opportunity to do this stuff, and those were text exchanges that Dana and I would have after we finished a particularly hard day, because has the biggest heart in the world and is also a fellow self-loather. He's very good at shitting on himself about putting me through this thing. Yeah. And so I would get a text from him after a really long day where I would come back to the condo just covered in blood and goo, and he would be like, I can't. You're such a trooper. Thanks for putting yourself through that today. I'm so sorry. I wrote that scene when I was in my kitchen in my robe,
comfortably sipping a cup of coffee.
And it seemed so funny at the time. And I would just write back like, at the end of the day, I'm getting to star in this thing you did that you wrote for me, and I've never gotten to do that before, and it's wonderful. And please don't think that if I look grouchy when I'm, wiping something out of my eye that may or may not be like a tick, all of that is still in there. I still know that I'm having this amazing opportunity,
Yeah.
So, and hopefully I never lose that, because that is what gets you through the stuff that you are passionate about, but that maybe isn't the most ideal circumstance. I would honestly rather do that than be on a show that no one I know likes because it's so middle of the road.
Yeah.
Bless America's heart for making some of those shows huge, but that's just not for me.
Let's name them.
Let's name them. Let's name the showrunners. Let's name the casting directors. Let's name.
Yeah, it's funny, the careful what you wish of being on broadcast television, because it's so rare to be the type of show that all of your friends are talking about, and at some point, I'm sorry to say it, America and the world, that becomes more important than just about anything.
Yeah.
That, you want the home team rooting sort of thing.
Yeah.
Practical monsters. Now, for comedy, nothing better than practical monsters. For acting, in a scene, because I always envision, the movie Alien, and then you see the guy in the alien costume with the head off, sitting on a
like a chocolate milk and a straw.
Smoking a cigarette. So when you've got that reality, and then you step into the scene, and you've got those, because the masks and costumes and makeup, special effects makeup on the characters that we saw in the first two were so spectacular.
Yeah, and some of it's puppets, so some of it's sort of animatronic.
Tell us about that.
It's awesome. I mean, I will say that for me, it's more about, how do I want to put this? I am still such a child, I think, that for me, the stretch is getting used to not being afraid of the guy sipping the chocolate milk or smoking a cigarette when the alien head's over here. That is more of like, right. That's a dude, right. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so, for example, with someone like Mick Ignis, who does a couple of the different creatures, including that goat creature with the red eyes that you've been seeing a lot if you've seen promos for Stan, he's the sweetest guy in the world.
Right.
The sweetest.
What's his name?
His name's Mick Ignis, and
Mick Ignis.
He's like a character creature actor, and Mark, and I can't believe I'm blanking on his last name. It's like, I want to say Stegner because I have a friend named Mark Stegner who's a writer, but it's Mark with an S. He was the creature on Stranger Things, the scary, really scary creature, and he also is on our show as a different character. And they both have made these careers of just this, physicality, and they have some sort of crazy mask and body makeup on. And Mark it's really interesting because he transforms from a normal person into a monster. And it was really interesting talking with him about his sort of confidence just being a guy
Yeah.
and how it transforms and how much more empowered he seems to me when he's got crazy contacts and fangs and, you know, all this kind of stuff happening. But the sweetest guy, but Mick, for example, sweetest guy, and we would be, you know, in the middle of this swamp in Georgia in the middle of the night, and I would be sort of sticky and hot and tired, and then I would look over and realize that Mick is wearing head to toe everything prosthetics and contact lenses through which he cannot see.
Oh my.
And he's just sitting there,
He's
sitting in
fine.
a chair. Just imagine a blind person, a sweet blind person sitting in a chair, looking like a hag or a goat, just kind of sitting there, and then you sort of come up and say like, hey, and he's like, who's that? Super chipper. Hey, how you doing, buddy? Oh, I'm great. I'm great. And then
Yeah.
I just feel like the biggest jerk for kind of being like, I'm a little toasty out here. Just to have that adaptability.
It's all
But-
kind of wonderful until he says, would you mind reading Variety to me?
That's right. That's right. The trades. But yeah, he was great. But that's like, it's scary. It's still, I can know that's him, but it doesn't look like him. So when he's sitting there, just passively sitting and not even on camera, I have to remind myself that he's Mick rather than remind myself
course.
that it's, you know, that he's not Mick when we're on camera. Because those practical monsters are still really terrifying and
Super
gross.
scary.
So yeah, so it's actually really fun to act opposite. Like walking into a room and seeing our giant pig demon Murgatroyd for the first time. However many times we did that, I never had to push myself. Every time I would walk in from not looking at him to looking at him, didn't matter if I'd seen it 10 times, I would
Yeah.
still be like, oh, Jesus God. So thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Practicals.
I love that he named him Murgatroyd.
Murgatroyd.
That's pretty solid.
That's right.
We actually do need to take a commercial break if you wouldn't mind. Feel free to check your phone, dial in, help me.
Do you have a variety? I would love to check in with just
Help me
what's
bring
getting picked up.
the world of Casper. Have you done the Casper on the JV Club?
I haven't. I don't really have sponsors, but I've listened to all of these podcasts that
Sure.
have the ubiquitous ones. And so I know it's a great mattress.
Yeah,
and
you
if they
do.
want to send me a mattress so I can start talking about it, let them.
Did you hear that, Casper?
That's right.
And for the rest of you, Casper is a sleep brand created one perfect mattress sold directly to consumers, eliminating commission-driven, inflated prices. Its award-winning sleep surface was developed in-house, as opposed to out in the yard, has a sleek design, as opposed to an unattractive one, and is delivered in a small, how the fuck did they get that into a sized box? In addition to the mattress, Casper also offers an adaptive pillow and soft, breathable sheets. They really are amazing, folks. I don't need to sell you some line of crap. This is an extraordinary product, and it has this ridiculous guarantee that is one of my favorite things in the world. And it's why Time Magazine named it one of its best inventions of 2015. Free shipping here in the US and to Canada. Good luck elsewhere. Mattress costs, as you know, you go to one of these stores, you roll around for
2-3 hours.
Yeah. You try to steal as much time as you can rolling around these things, and my feeling's always, is it too firm? Is it not firm enough? I can't really tell. I'm not going to know until it's too late. This is where, to me, this company crushes this. They have a 100-night home trial. This means a third of the year, practically. You're sleeping on this thing. Night 99, you can turn to the cat, the dog, your loved one, and say, this is horrible. I hate this mattress. I'm glad I had it for 99 days, and now I've enjoyed it for free for 99 days because I am sending it back in the how the fuck did it fit into that size box. I really do give this the top possible rating from the chat show, and encourage you, if you're at all in the market for a new mattress. The sizes, the prices they have are just absurd. $500 for a twin size. I mean, honestly, $600 the twin XL, $750 for a full, $850 for a
Is
queen,
that true?
$950 for a king.
I'm really helping you with this, but I'm sincere.
No, it's true.
That's
I've
no,
easily-
because I do need a mattress.
Yeah, no, and again, 100-night home trial.
Oh, Janet, you could use our promo code.
Here it is, the promo code, Kevin. Go to Casper.com/Kevin. Use that offer code, Kevin. Terms and conditions apply, of course. $50 off towards your mattress. So $950 for a king. I've spent $4,000 without even blinking because I didn't think I had a choice. You don't like the quality? Send it back, but you will keep it because the quality is redonkulous. Combines springy latex, supportive memory foam to create an award-winning sleep surface, and it's just the right sink and just the right balance. Honestly, these are truly great. If you are in the frame of mind to get yourself a new mattress, as our guest Janet Varney suggests she is.
I really am.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't work out for me, I'm gonna shit talk it nonstop till the day I drop dead.
That's Casper.com/Kevin using offer code Kevin. So damn happy you try out Casper. Let us know. Write to us at KPCS fanmail@gmail.com. Let us know how much you love it. We'd like to let them know. And thank you, Casper, for all your support of this show. So I mentioned we're both from San Francisco. We briefly mentioned you watching videos for Sketchfest. 15-year anniversary?
16.
16. Holy
I know.
gamole.
Yeah.
We look forward to it every year. Jamie and I have been going for many years.
We have.
And I will say, I remember when it first started, it was not on anyone's radar.
Yeah.
And to stick with it, it's a daunting enterprise.
Yeah.
How many shows over
I mean, it's over 200 now.
Over 200 shows during how many weeks?
Essentially 2.5. You start on a Thursday, go all through that first week, all through that next week, and then finish on that Sunday. And shows pretty much every night. I think we're dark on Mondays.
Several shows a night.
Several shows a night.
Clearly.
Yeah.
To knock out 200 shows.
Yeah.
And some of the most amazing this year, Steve Martin Short. Am I not supposed to say that?
Probably not.
Okay, good.
I don't know.
Okay, good.
Maybe you said it so fast that people were like, "Wait, what? What did he say?"
Yeah, we can edit that out, or not. But I in the past, like last year, was it last year that I did the Waiting for Guffman?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was moderator at a reunion for the cast, Chris Guest and Parker Posey.
We were just talking about, because of my Ted Danson hot dog, the year prior you had
we had Bored to Death.
Or I think
That
that was
was
2
real fun.
years.
It was 2 years before that.
That was 2
yeah.
years prior. Wow. And
No,
that was,
they're all such a jumble to me. I can sort
know.
of. I can remember the first year because there's only 6 local groups. Then I can remember the second year because it was such a huge deal that we got Fred Willard and the Upright Citizens Brigade. And then I can kind of remember year 3. And then there's a period from like years 10 to 15 that I have a really hard time placing where certain events happen. Even my most favorite, I just kind of go, wow, that was somewhere in the teens.
Let's call them the Simpsons years.
Let's call them the Simpsons years.
the good years.
The vague swath.
Yeah, I remember the Veepcast came one.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago.
Spectacular.
Yeah, that was super fun.
I showed my documentary there. I had a great time with that.
Yeah.
My thrill of a lifetime was interviewing Alan Arkin before showing The In-Laws, which is my favorite comedy film of all time. There's such amazing shows. So 16 years ago, how are you, the three of you, sitting around and coming up with this?
Well, every year we sort of worry about wanting to make sure we have new programming because we're in this sort of luxurious space where by no means have we had everyone in comedy. It's not that, but there's so much stuff that we dreamed of doing that we have now done, and sometimes done more than once or done in different iterations, or here's this person like you, like we always want him back. What does he feel like doing this year? Where can we, what new exciting thing? Or do we have also this returning thing that becomes this sort of staple every year?
Right.
And so we have so many of the kind of returning staples that always sell so great that people would be angry and have been angry at us when we skip a year, that we want to be consistent about that, but we also want to go, what about this thing you've never heard, or this person you haven't seen yet that you're going to love, or how do we break this, or how do we reunite this old cast that everyone missed seeing on television or whatever. So we definitely have lists that we sort of have brand new ideas, and we have got to have these returning favorites, and striking that balance is important. Then we have people for tributes that stay on the list and that have been on the list for the entire time that we've done the festival, that we're able to kind of check them off. And Alan Arkin was definitely one of them. I mean, he was just someone that we all grew up loving.
Sure.
And sort of hoped at one point we
Right.
could get, and then we did. So, and then when that happens, you think that you would go, well, anything's possible, right? And
Yeah.
instead, we do the Sketchfest version of what you and I were talking about with our careers, which is, well, I can't imagine that person ever saying yes. Like, well, wait, you had Alan Arkin.
Yeah.
But I know, but like that's different. Like that's different. Somehow that worked out. But
Yeah.
maybe this. So there is a sort of pushing past that I think you have when you start a festival when you're 3 kids in a sketch group, and you don't know what you're doing. You kind of hold on to that all the way through, so
Yes.
that every time you sort of write a letter to someone, you're like, listen, and you really have to lean hard on all of the people you've had in the past. Now, but you're not just leaning on them to convince the person, you're still leaning on them to convince yourself.
Sure.
Like I wrote a letter to someone this year and I was like, we've had this person, and I started getting impressed as if it weren't my festival, like, Candace Bergen, that's right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wait, what was I doing?
Yeah.
Just sort of.
Yeah.
But I guess it's a
Like
way of
this
not
year,
becoming a jerk. I don't know.
This year I know you and I were making the hard press for Ricky Gervais, and
Yeah.
he educating people was something I experienced because Chris Guest had such a good time with Spinal Tap and then Guffman, that super annoying name drop, at dinner with Chris and Ricky, and Chris and I are in Ricky's face saying, "You've got to do
this.
this."
Is what I'm saying. Thank you, because
No,
that's
no, no.
how that
But-
stuff happens, though.
but
it is.
What a great thing.
Yeah.
For me, being from San Francisco and knowing you guys, right, and being and wanting to contribute and be a part of it.
Yeah.
And then seeing Christopher Guest take over for me and get
Yeah.
in Ricky's face and say,
it's so
"You got to
great.
do this. You got to do this."
That's
It's
great to
kind of
hear.
magical.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it is, but and again, it's also because it is so kind of about San Francisco, about those audiences, about that
Yeah.
history, and it's so peer sourced because
Yes.
it's not the Aspen Comedy Festival, it's not Vegas Comedy Festival. We don't have
Right.
agents. I mean, we definitely have agents and managers who get it, and year after year they support their clients coming. But it's the 3 of us. It's not, we don't have this, we're not owned by TBS or something.
Yeah.
So when we commit to doing a show, we really have to mean it. We have to think that our ticket sales will support bringing that person, because that's where the money comes from,
Sure.
And and I think maybe we'll be able to strike new gold in San Francisco. Hopefully there's a vein somewhere that
Nice.
didn't get mined
Nice.
back in the day. But until that happens.
Uh-huh. Have you been
so-
approached by a television outlet?
yeah, I mean, we have. I think we're starting to grow those relationships more now that we feel like we have established who we are. Because that was the other thing we were always so afraid of, was what if someone comes in too early
Sure.
and they have all this power, and the people who are very picky and specific about the kind of indie vibe that we have, like David Cross does not come to our festival because he gets paid $1 million. He doesn't get paid much at all.
Right.
But he believes in what we do, and he likes being there, and he loves San Francisco, and he loves seeing his friends and all that. So the question every year is, it would be great to get more financial help. It'd be great to get more sponsorships, but what is that relationship going to look like for us? Because now we're fiercely protective
Yeah.
of the experience that everyone from the audience to the person to our staff has.
Right.
So, it's those conversations, those dinner conversations. That's what gets it done for us when we can't be there.
Right.
Having someone like you be that emissary, because I guarantee you, I don't know who his agent is, but like I can't imagine that his agent, who makes millions of dollars off of him over the course of years, is going to go like, what you should do is this Spunky Festival. I think they got like $500. I mean, that's an under,
Yeah.
it's like that will never be the reason. And so, we don't have this, clout that's like, listen, you did Sketchfest, you're probably going to get an Oscar next year because someone will see you there and you'll get,
Yeah.
So it is that kind of peer support of people that we love and have worked with over the years, saying, no, this is great. This is kind of what comedy is still about and should be about.
And the sense of home pride you must feel.
Well, it's great to be connected to the city in that way. You have that. That sort of the left your heart in San Francisco thing doesn't. For me, it didn't die just because I lived in San Francisco and found out what was wrong with it. Because there's plenty wrong with it. It's a
Sure.
tough city in many ways, but I have this fierce loyalty to it, and I do feel so connected to it. And I guess I don't. That's another thing I have to check in with. You kind of get bogged down in the minutia, and you're sort of just wanting so hard, wanting so much for it to be this great experience for everyone, that you forget to pull back and go, oh, this has been around for 16 years. Like, people depend on the festival for their entertainment that time of year and things that they wouldn't get to see here otherwise. And it does feel amazing to have created any kind of, legacy feels like the biggest jerk off word in the world, but
Well,
to have a reason to go up there and not feel like, well, I guess that's it for me. I had my time in San Francisco and then it ended is great.
Yeah. And that's no question, that's what absolutely draws me to it as well, is contributing to anything that celebrates the city as part of the content and the festival. And now there's a huge worldwide portion of your fans that have been very upset with me so far for holding off on talking about this extraordinary gig. In doing and reading the research that JMac does, give him the credit. I just do the reading. Vanity Fair magazine article titled "How a Nickelodeon Cartoon Became One of the Most Powerful Subversive Shows of 2014." What the fuck?
I know.
Yeah. The Legend of Korra. Now, because M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong fucked up the Airbenders historically, for a lot of people who didn't know about or don't know about this world, it started first with this animated series on Nickelodeon called.
It was Avatar: The Last Airbender, but then Avatar got confusing because of the James Cameron movie.
Right.
So the one thing I remember is our characters
as we
aren't
call
really
them now.
Jimmy Cams. We just have to remember our characters are mostly not blue.
Not blue.
If that's helpful.
Yes.
Yeah. So people refer more to Last Airbender, and M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong got the rights to do a live action version. I've never seen it. I'll never see it. There's no point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like sort of sounds like it was lacking everything that makes the animated series special. And then the guys, Mike and Brian, who created that show, did a next series that sort of picks up, I think it's like 80 years or something after 30 years, 80 years.
It's important
something that has like a
don't
curl.
know.
You know how an 8's kind of a 3 with some extra jazz thrown in there.
Well, it's 2 3s really coming together.
There you go. Bless. So it's one of those.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm sorry. I'm forgetting right now. What I'm struggling with is because there's this giant stuff
Do you feel
in the
such
middle.
a connection to your
I feel a
fans?
huge responsibility.
and
Yeah, I go to
responsibility?
Comic-Cons all the time,
Yes, you
and
do.
there's no excuse for me not remembering that, except that it's only feeling the pressure of not wanting to be wrong that
Right.
causes me to be wrong about
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
We've all been there, right?
Well, you've more than covered your tracks.
Yeah, thank
and your
you.
fans forgive you.
Thank you. It's amazing. It's an amazing. It was an amazing thing to be a part of.
You've done voiceover here and there,
That's really just
but
a
not
little
really
here
on
and
a
there.
series. So this comes to you the way most voiceover stuff does,
Just
as
through an
a basic
audition.
audition sort
Yeah.
of thing. You go in to read for the lead character in Legend or The Legend of Korra.
Yeah.
Nickelodeon has both on their site, by the way. Just
yeah.
Legend of Korra and The Legend of Korra.
It's anything like that is. I'm every time I write something about Kids in the Hall, I think that I go, wait, is it the Kids in the Hall, or can I just say Kids in the Hall?
Eagles. I don't
Jamie
give a
and I
fuck.
can tell you at the poker game one night. Is that how it first came up? Someone decided it was the Eagles, the musical band.
Okay.
And someone actually sat up and said, no, it's just Eagles.
What a mindfuck.
And
What
so
is
we
it?
were saying, how would they be introduced at a concert? Ladies and gentlemen, Eagles? I don't think so.
Yeah, that sounds like it could be anything, like any amount of eagles, like 50 eagles could fly in from a window.
Ladies and gentlemen, Doves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now that you say that, there is a British band called Doves, and I know they're not the Doves.
No, nor are they the Doves in every John Woo film. Now,
That's right.
We've digressed too much. So, the wonderful Shirley Azov's at the game. Her husband Irving had managed and has managed the Eagles since the beginning of time. She's able to email Don Henley.
Perfect. Go straight to the source.
Yep. And while we're playing cards, read us Don Henley's reply. Hey, Don, having a debate at the poker table. Is it the Eagles or Eagles? And Don Henley's reply?
Eagles, the Eagles. I don't give a fuck.
Thank you. May I just go ahead and apply that blanket policy to
Right?
every time
Yes,
we wonder that?
absolutely.
Good one.
Yeah.
It only gets tricky when you're like, is it the Mr. Show or just Mr. Show? And you're like, no, you're just an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that show, amazing. I love staying connected to it because it was this, it's, when you get a cartoon job, you just don't, I guess I had a sense because I knew the first series and how extraordinary it was and how important it was to people.
You had watched
But they
it.
really, yeah, I had seen it, but I think they kind of raised it even more in terms of this, the idea of being subversive. I don't know that they would call the first season, or the first series, Last Airbender, as subversive, but because in The Legend of Korra, I think it's the character that I play goes through a tremendous amount of like physical and emotional stress and has a pretty serious case of PTSD by the fourth season. And
She has a sexual life.
and she has a rich sexual life. I wasn't making any sex sounds. Memory serves, Nickelodeon. But she does fall in love with the sort of other primary female character on the show, who she heretofore has just been friends with, and they end up together. And now Dark Horse and Nickelodeon and Mike and Brian have all started to create these books and graphic novel kind of stuff and comic books that will be exploring not just that story that happens after the show ends, but also pockets of time, like in that 3/8, where there are little storylines that you wish you could see more of. They're just kind of growing that universe out more and more and more, and it's awesome. It's really great.
Your first experience going to Comic-Con for the show must have been...
That was insane.
Yeah.
It was insane. That was...
You're going there, people have told
That
you...
really was insane.
You had been given a heads up
Yeah.
by a friend who, or someone you knew.
You know, I think it was the casting director at at Nickelodeon at the time when I got it, and I ran into her after we just had started recording. She sort of pulled me aside and gave me a big hug, and then like squared me off, holding my shoulders, looking meaningfully into my eyes, said, "Do you know what this will change about your life?" And I said, "Well, I mean, I'm so excited, I'm gonna be a cartoon character, And she was like, no.
No.
And so yeah, that first Comic-Con that we went to, I mean, it's one thing, because when you go to Comic-Con, you're promoting a show that has not come out yet. I've done stuff like that. I mean, obviously I've done stand promotion. People definitely come out, no question about it, because they come out because they're fans of your other stuff, or they're fans of the creator, or they're fans of that genre. But I was not prepared for being in a room with like 4,000 to 5,000 people walking out on a stage and hearing this sort of roar because they had that entire fan base existed from the previous series. So I just hadn't prepared for that, and it really was. A lot of stuff that happens to us, maybe you feel this way too, it is kind of the cooking of the frog or the lobster, where it starts to feel a little less crazy that you're meeting this huge star that you were a fan of, because you've kind of done these things that have led up to that.
Sure.
And then sometimes you still have these sort of like feelings like you've just been punched in the stomach or slapped in the face in a good way.
Right.
And that was definitely one of those where there was nothing I could have done to really understand what that was going to feel like.
No, I don't care what you've done in any business, but in this conversation, show business, you're just never going to meet 4,000 or 5,000 of your fans from a particular job you did.
Yeah.
You're going to spend your life running into a few here and there.
Right.
You're going to want a photograph or whatever.
Yeah, unless you're a rock band, you know what I mean? Unless
Yes.
unless you're U2 and you're sort of going into a
If you're
stadium.
a performer, you're going to face a live audience. Yes.
But for your exactly.
But as an actor
exactly
and a
right.
thing, it's just not it's not normal life.
Yeah, it's not normal life, and that's one of those jobs where most places no one knows who I am or gives a shit, and that's great. It's great to not have. I mean, I don't. My friends who are followed by the paparazzi and stuff, it's tough, man. It's a tough.
Yeah.
They have a great life. I'm sure they would be the first to say like I could have it a lot worse. I'm not saying like wah wah rich famous superstars. But
repeat after me. You've heard it's lonely at the top.
I've heard it's lonely at the top.
I'm here to tell you it's fan-fucking-tastic in the middle. Yeah.
But like then you go into this sort of small world where people really appreciate something that you do, and it feels great to kind of check in with that and and be around that, and because I love it. If I didn't love the show, I don't think I would want to be around people who love the show. I would just be like, I don't get it.
Sure.
But I get it.
It'd just be a gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
We have a section of the show called Famous Questions.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about JV Club and a couple of really cool quotes that I was able to pull.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Of yours.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
It's like what you were talking about with like, I wish people wouldn't post those photos of me.
Right, yeah.
It's like the same thing.
Did
like,
I
Did
say
I say that?
Famous question.
Famous questions. These are questions written from famous folk who you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Let's see, which one should I start with?
Can you just read Brian's thing again? Just the long Larry King thing. Let's just read that 2 more times.
I'm going to start with this one. Ask her about the Steven Spielberg produced reality show that she starred in with my husband called On the Lot, meant to find the next great filmmaker. I'm sure there's some fodder there. That question from former guest
Wow.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Good one.
Yeah.
I just listened to Neil this morning. I was listening to This American Life, and I had no idea whatsoever because he does everything and a million things.
Yeah.
And I love him because he's not constantly saying like, well, I was just working on this because
Sure.
it's always the awesomest thing in the world. And I was listening to This American Life on the way here, and it's that's the episode that came out yesterday, and it's about the Republican Party and all of this the crazy divisiveness that's come of this election. And suddenly Ira Glass is like, so anyway, we felt like Paul Ryan deserved a musical of his own, so we had the Frozen people write a song that's from Paul Ryan's perspective about how no one loves him and no one loves his part of the Republican Party anymore. Let's hear it. And all of a sudden this voice starts, and about 4 seconds in, I'm like, that's fucking Neil. And it was great and hilarious. Anyway, yes, I that's how I met Neil's husband. I did How I Met Your Mother around the same time, and I fell in love with both of them. If I could be part of their marriage, I would be. We did this crazy show what's the guy who produces Survivor and everything else?
Mark Burnett.
Yeah, so Mark Burnett and Steven Spielberg. And they got together and created this show that should have been like the most amazing thing in the world, but there were like 8 broken things about it and like 4 really, really cool things about it. But we got to shoot all these different short films with all these up and coming, these little youngster directors over basically a summer season. And it was really fun because we got to do all this crazy, just like, oh, I'm a superhero in this one, or oh, I'm like a weird skate chick. I'm not even sure what I was in
Sure.
one, but I know I had a crop top. Does that count for anything?
Yep. Counts for everything.
Yeah, and so yeah, but that was another one where you sort of are working under really fast shooting circumstances on a hot summer. So I've had a lot of those. You'd think I would be better at them now. David and I used to joke about what lunch was going to be because it was always so hot and unpleasant that we would try to outgross each other out. Like, it's going to be lamb stew today. Who wants s'mores? You know, just all the things you'd be
You
like.
not want on a hot day, yeah. All right, well, there you have it, NPH, to your question. This next
Yes.
question comes from Dana Gould, who we were speaking of. Here's 2, one lighthearted, one semi-serious.
Oh.
Lighthearted, have you ever been hosed down with fake vomit in a swamp at 2 a.m.? If so, please explain.
C, conversation earlier. C, reference to Dana still hating himself for that because he put it right into a question. Yeah. Thank you for making my point. I love you, Dana Gould.
Yes. And then the semi-serious question, how is it that she still knows all the lyrics to the cult hit She Sells Sanctuary?
Oh, well, yeah, we did a show together. We did Bring the Rock, which is one of my favorite shows to do, which is Greg Barron's show he does with a band. He's a phenomenal guitarist and works with phenomenal people. And have you ever done it? You should do it. It's very rarely done.
I'm not musical.
Something that you don't have, the band can sing and you tell a story.
Ah.
Or if you're musical, you can, like Todd Barry plays the drums.
Sure.
He'll tell his story and then he'll go back and play the drums and then the band will cover the song with him on drums. But you just tell a story about a song and then some iteration of the song gets performed. So I did one this last Sketchfest where I sang the Cult's She Sells Sanctuary and told a story about my high school years as a goth and my use of LSD. So I guess if there's an implication that I shouldn't remember anything because of the amount of acid I took, Dana, good question. I don't know why I still remember those lyrics.
Oh, wow. I don't think he meant that, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I think the statute of limitations on me getting arrested for being 13 and dropping acid have probably passed.
Yeah, you're rock
and I'm
solid.
certainly not recommending it. For sure the opposite.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I won't tell you who this is from. You'll know.
Okay.
And it's not a question, it's a comment. She adapted some of the great moves of the actors who created and honed the screwball style of Preston Sturges. I am not sure that she was even aware of it. She may or may not, even have any idea about this whole school of females assuming the role of the protagonist in a comedy driven by the lead female stars of the 40s. But the Sturgis style of his empowering leading ladies was in full effect and completely exercised by Janet as the first season progressed. She quite beautifully added a sublime layer of subliminal complexity that was not on the page, not in anyone's creative vision, and stunning to actually see realize fruition. It was money. She is a rock star.
Oh,
you have no idea who wrote that, right?
I have the tiniest inkling. What that is a man who says what he means. So I'm really, I don't even know what to say. He blows me away. He's been so positive about the work that we did together, and he is a super professional who cares deeply about the craft.
Yeah.
And that really means the world to me. I get choked up about it because.
Good.
Yeah,
It took us
because if he thought I sucked, boy, he would not say any of that.
It
He would be like, she was
fools.
fine.
Yeah, doesn't suffer fools. Cuts to, but also very articulate. How lovely.
Yeah.
And we've waited 282 episodes to make someone cry. This one will make you cry also.
Uh-oh.
From Mark Maron. Being Maron, of course, his question is,
Who was Janet Varney?
just this. He wrote, this is it, quote, just this. Chris Hardwick?
Oh, well.
Yeah. There's Mark Maron for you.
Good old Double M.
Double M brings it home.
Double M.
He wants everyone to say, what a dick.
Yeah.
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 He lives for it. Of the show you did with Neil and his husband, you said, I had a baby with 2 gay men, and that's what came out.
Did I say that?
Yes. Neil's Puppet Dreams,
Yeah.
which I loved.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Well, through the research, I found it.
Yeah.
And I want to lay claim. 17
Yeah.
people just ran into a car.
That's right.
I don't want to lay false claim, that I'd been watching it.
Well, no, I mean it's one of those
However
things
you
that
discover
is like,
something.
yeah, it's definitely not
It's so
front
good.
and center for
And
any of us, but
My questions are endless now,
yeah.
because there are like Muppets, and there are musical numbers and choreography.
Yeah.
And it had to have been shot on a shoestring.
Oh,
How
yeah,
did
yeah.
any of this happen?
Well, this is actually perfect because I can immediately credit Chris Hardwick for facilitating that, because he, when Nerdist was much more fledgling than it is now, they had offices at the Henson Company. Chris knew me to be a huge fan of the Henson Company. I did know that company and had been around a little bit in that world, but he, through Nerdist, facilitated this deal with Henson, where we were able to make this show with Neil, because Neil and I were close, and David and I were close, and we all are just huge nerds for puppets in general. And so it was absolutely Chris who came to all of us and said, I think I've just found a great way for you guys to make a show with puppets.
Yeah.
And he was right, and we jumped in, and we did. I think we shot it over like 3 days.
Who wrote the songs? Who did the music? I mean,
We wrote them together. I wrote the lullaby song.
my.
Two of our other wonderful writers, Michael Serrato, who I'm actually still working with on stuff, had a lot to do with that, and his writing partner Brian, and yeah, we just we had great music people who just like jumped into it, but that was another one of those sort of like walking out onto that stage at Comic-Con moments and that I didn't necessarily know I was going to have, because we had been neck deep in getting ready for it, and then we were shooting it. All of a sudden, Brian Henson, Jim Henson's son, is puppeteering and singing a song that I wrote that Neil is acting in, and I had to leave and go
Falling?
outside and like cry.
Is that the one where he's falling? Or
Yeah,
no?
exactly.
Yeah.
I really thought that's another
You
one of
wrote
those
that
like
song?
I
I love
and I
that
thought if I
song.
could thank you. I thought if I could tell that kid, Jamie, if I could tell that kid that was, miserable,
Yeah.
Don't worry, this is going to happen. And that would have meant something to me, then that's sort of a nice bridge of time where I go, oh, it's okay. My life is so wonderful. I'm so lucky,
Yeah.
And we're actually working on a second season. It only took us like 5 years to
Amazing.
get around to a second season, but we're working on it.
Neil's Puppet Dreams.
Neil's Puppet Dreams, yeah.
Oh, so good.
Thanks.
I think there was one last.
Could you clarify real quick? I think we're confused on that wonderful comment that was left for her. That was a continuation of the Dana Gould thing, correct? Or-
Oh, that was John C. McGinley.
Oh, it was.
Who was talking about
You never
postal charges,
mentioned
yeah.
everyone's.
We ultimately did not say that it
You
was
never said who it was.
John.
Okay,
It's true.
So there you go,
It
guys.
was John.
It's John C.
Thank
McGinley
you, Jamie.
that said
It was
that.
John C. McGinley.
I misunderstood, and I thought it was a
Oh, yeah.
continuation.
Oh,
of the,
I said way too many nice things about Dana if everyone thought that's who I was talking about. No,
Yeah.
John, no.
And my intense,
Dana's my favorite ever.
my super intense, slowly building line reading,
Yeah.
I thought was more.
I thought it was, yeah, it definitely sounded like him to me.
Well, those are his words. Sam Levine, our very own Sam Levine,
Sam, I know, I thought I was going to see Sam too.
who adores
but
you. But
love
yep,
Sam.
he's at the
Now I know where he is.
yeah. And we've kind of touched on this, but not this specific. He asked, "What's the weirdest fan interaction you've had at a convention?"
God, what's the weirdest? I think one of the more surreal was one of my first cons I did where I like doing this kind of smaller conventions where it's just, the convention center in Tulsa or the convention center in Jacksonville, Florida, places
Yeah.
I'll never probably get to otherwise.
Right.
For better or for worse. But I like going where you really have time to like interact with people and it doesn't feel like this huge kind of wall of commercial stuff. It's sort of the sketch fest of Comic-Cons that I like doing. There's these ones where you feel like, oh yeah, they're run by young people that are just individuals and and there was one of the first ones I did, there was this line of people waiting for autographs and like an alarming percentage of them were cosplaying the character that I play. And so I got everyone that was dressed like her out of the line and we took a picture together. And that was another one of those surreal moments where it's me in the center and there's like 6 girls on either side of me all dressed as Korra. And that was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. Weird, like creepy weird. I haven't had that many.
Good.
I'm happy to say they're really not, it's just not that kind of show. I
Yeah.
think there are shows where
Sure.
it tends to attract people who maybe have more boundary issues.
Right.
But I don't really have those
And your
interactions.
character, Korra, is just such a hero, I would
Yeah.
imagine, for most of its fans.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty damn sweet. Here's one of your great quotes. Sorry to read things you said back to you.
No,
but
it's so interesting. I'm sure you have that too, where you're like, I like her, or I don't care for that person.
Well, let's find out which one this is.
All right, great.
I like to say this business has the potential to turn you into the best or the worst version of yourself. If you choose to believe all the superficial stuff and try to become what someone else says you should be, you could easily be the assholiest version of yourself of all time. And as we've all seen, that certainly happens. But if you take the hard stuff and really look carefully at and critically at where your ideas about yourself come from, and whether you have humility and gratitude, it can shape you into, weirdly, the most Zen version of yourself. I guess I should just keep trying to take those opportunities and use them appropriately. Wow. That was just you talking.
Oh, was it?
You
yeah.
hadn't
I
sat
was
down.
going to say I probably
you hadn't
would have
sat
been
down
more.
to write those incredible
Yeah.
words. That's amazing.
Assholiest is what you're referring to when you say amazing that I didn't take
No,
the time
it's
to write it.
it's all. It's all.
Yeah.
You picked the one word to criticize yourself.
I know.
About. Well
I
done.
know.
Well
Staying
done.
zen.
Well done.
No, but you're absolutely correct because people will tell you to me, I've been told dye your hair blonde, get a fake tan, do the put on more makeup, dress
Yeah.
this way, and then it's but then I become somebody that I wouldn't want to be around.
Yeah.
So
And,
you
it's,
become the
and don't
assholiest.
believe all the positive bullshit too. It's like, for sure, some of it is super sincere, and I'm sure a lot of it's true. But I feel like we all see people who start making stuff that isn't as good because they don't keep people around them who are like, this isn't you, or like, I feel like you're not listening to people's criticism anymore, You sort of want to figure out how to just stay the same no matter what shifts around you.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully get better as a person, but not.
Yeah, I
become a
still
dick.
read bad reviews because even though 87% of it is just sort of snarky, or they just didn't get it,
Yeah.
or it wasn't their cup of tea, and they're
Yeah.
presenting their opinion as fact, which is frustrating. But there's always a little gem in there of criticism that is, oh, yeah, good point.
God, see, then I will try to emulate you because I feel like I provide all of my own shitty comments, so I try to avoid all of that just because I'm afraid I'll start to believe all of that too much. But I want to get to the place where I can read that and sort of
I don't read the good
siphon
ones.
out. Yeah.
I don't read the good ones.
I just don't read anything
I
because
read the bad ones.
I'm always afraid that whatever it is, somehow it will make me feel weird.
But I have to
anything.
wonder if self-criticism, if that's part of your makeup, how constructive that could possibly be. I think the answer is not so much.
Yeah,
It's just about keeping yourself humble and undermining getting ahead of yourself or just being insecure. I don't know how helpful to your creative process.
Might not be very.
It's not.
Because you can really take that. Well, we all have that too. Is like, if you aren't in a place where you can take that and sort of see the truth where it benefits you, even if it's criticism, and instead you go, oh, I'm going to let this speak to all of my demons and make them even louder in my head, then I guess you're not doing yourself any favors. But that's what I would like to get to that place where I can go, you know what? I forgive this douchebag for like all of these horrible things that didn't need to be said. But that's probably true. I probably did, that is something I need to work on.
By the way, it took me forever to do that. I used to not read good or bad. I subscribed to that school because they're just singular opinions, and how could they be more meaningful?
No, but to me that's a sign of a maturity I would like to get to be able to take that stuff and incorporate it into, because it is your job, That's me running away from that, I think, a little bit. Is like, I don't want anyone to tell me what they think of this thing that was put out there specifically for people to make opinions about.
Right.
Yeah,
all the snarky and all the it's not your cup of tea stuff, at some point it washes away easily because there's no conversation to be had.
Yeah.
It's not even a matter of defending it. There's just no conversation to be had. You can tell me how great Kimmy Schmidt is, but I watched a couple episodes and I was just turned off by we're being overly silly and winking at the camera, and that's not something I enjoy.
Right.
So maybe the show
tea.
got better, maybe it got way better.
Yeah.
And I should revisit it. Maybe. But there's so much content now, I'm never going to catch up on anything.
Yeah, it's not your job to have to love everything, nor is it anyone's.
And also, I'm not a part of the competitive conversation.
Oh God, that's me with the. I'm sorry, and I'm going to alienate a lot of people. That's me with the Marvel universe. I'm like, I can't love. Sorry, I can't love everything.
Yeah.
I can't love everything.
Yeah, I watched the first Iron Man, and I remember I called.
And I like Guardians until.
Loved Guardians. Until they destroyed Tower of Terror.
Until they destroyed Tower of Terror. But
I remember, I think you were sitting next to me when
I can't love everything.
Called Jon Favreau on opening Friday of Iron Man to say, naively, looking back on it, of course, if not historically naive. Oh my God, it's so perfect. You've brought humor and humanity. Your life is never going to be the same. And he said something really sweet, but it was also sort of like, we've been following the numbers for several weeks, and today's not a surprise, guys.
Right.
Yeah. So you can't love everything is the
That's
point.
all I was saying.
Yeah. And I agree. And
it's okay.
And it is okay. Just like it's okay to allow someone through your filters.
It doesn't mean I don't love joy, Sean.
Yeah.
Well, that's the upside.
You didn't love the movie, Joy.
That's the upside and downside of the internet, right? Is that
Yes.
when I was a teenager and felt my most passionate about what I liked and didn't like, I barely interacted with anyone about that. That was all just stuff that lived inside me, and I don't know how I would have been shaped by interacting with so many people from all over. It might have been amazing to have all of those people that would say, "Oh my God, me too," like we were talking about. But it also would have been really hard to have so many people be like, "What's wrong with you?"
Yes.
Yes. I'm sort of glad that I didn't have that, because I feel like I don't know if I would have survived that in the way that I survived my, growing up otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, and the reason I don't read the positive reviews is, we, as performers or creative people, I guess, technically, we are starved for attention and love. But the moment we get either too strongly, we shun. Can't take a compliment. stop with the love and the attention, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Um,
Or like how somehow they've been fooled because I really am terrible. Like there's so many
I don't
ways you can
need
talk yourself
to
out of
read someone say
Yeah.
that I got something right
that. Yeah.
More than 7 times.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have added that. Listen, I can't thank you enough. This has really been super fun.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked me. Thank you so much.
And I'm glad you're able to make time for us because your show debuts November 2nd. If you're listening to this after the fact,
Isn't there a special Halloween?
Yeah,
preview, though?
there's a little I think they're calling it a little Halloween treat.
yeah.
Who are the ad wizards that came up with that one, guys? IFC.
Well done, guys. Tomorrow, and then the boat. There's a 2-episode premiere, like the sort of official time and day of Wednesday at 10 on.
And every week,
then
2
Dana said
episodes.
they're going to release it. Their version of binge is they're going to do 2
exactly
episodes
right. They're
every week for 4 weeks.
They're one of the networks that I think wisened quickly to. Oh wait, people resent when they don't have everything in front of them now, which I appreciate. I think there are very few people that can kind of get away with that. Like I was saying about HBO, that I've totally immediately. Fell into the Westworld web more so than I ever did with Game of Thrones, where I just was like, "This is for me. Yes, this is for me. I like this. There's a game. There's a game. There's a game within a game." And I resent that I have to wait every week because it's so many things like Black Mirror, or, stuff on Netflix where they're like, "Here you go."
Yeah.
I like having everything, so I'm glad they're doing that because I don't really. It's hard. I've immediately adapted to more.
Yeah. So to be clear for the folks listening or watching, it's 2 episodes.
It's like two,
Once a week.
yeah.
For 4 weeks.
For 4 weeks.
8 episodes total.
Yeah.
Get it out there.
How exciting.
Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed.
And if you love comedy and you love horror and you miss practical effects and monsters, then this is for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you love Janet, and you love John C. McGinn, and you love Dana Gould.
Yeah.
And
And the other actress is fun too.
supporting
Deborah
cast.
Baker Jr. and Nate Mooney are phenomenal. They are real studies in also how to be bigger characters and still stay grounded.
he's not related to Kyle by any
Great.
chance, is he?
I don't think so.
The Mooney kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but I don't think that he is. I feel like maybe you even asked that. But yeah, check it out.
Is it possible that he's asked that more than you're asked if you're related to?
Impossible. There's no way he's asked
didn't
that
even
more.
have to say
There's
it.
no way he's asked that more.
Thank you endlessly. There's a gift bag. Please don't leave without it.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Honestly and truly.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
My pleasure. Sit there uncomfortably while we wrap things up for the folks watching live and listening after the fact. Kenny, did you have something? Oh. You what? Larry King game. We almost got you out of here without you doing the Larry King game. Nice catch, Kenny.
I think I convinced myself that the Larry King game was the first thing that happened with that.
Okay, so the rules are bad Larry King.
Okay.
Take all the pressure off of trying to do Larry
Okay,
King.
all right.
Doing a bad Larry King makes me laugh really, really hard.
Okay.
So then it's that moment where Larry would go to the phones, but first he'd look up into the camera and share something about himself. I don't want you to share something about yourself. I want you to be Larry.
Okay.
And he shares something about himself.
Okay.
Anything. Simple, silly, ridiculous.
Okay.
No matter what. Not looking for something historic.
Okay.
No pressure is what we're trying to get at.
Great.
And then go to the phones, and if the name of the city is funny sounding, not going to hurt.
Okay.
Those are the rules. There's your camera. When
I
you're
wear your
ready,
glasses?
you may.
Okay.
They've been used for this very thing.
I imagine. Look at, they're just
Please,
waiting for it.
It's a prop.
Okay. Okay, we've got a very exciting show today. I don't know if you guys realize this, but I actually spent most of my life wishing my lips were bigger. I know. Go figure. We're going to go to the phone. Snoqualmie, Washington.
That's how you play the Larry King game. Lips are bigger.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Nice save, Kenny.
Thanks, Kenny.
Now go back to sitting there uncomfortably.
Wonderful.
Our very own young Sam Levine will be doing some guest hosting during the month of November. Maybe we'll get Janet to, I guess, host one
In
of
a
the
New
shows.
York
What?
minute. Ooh, Eagles, kind of.
Ooh,
Nice.
everything can change. Sorry, that's from the End of the Innocence album, 1989. That was a Jacqueline Fox minivan staple. My sister, all my music taste comes from my sister, and because she would play like these awesome mixtapes that she made in the minivan. and End of the Innocents was one of them.
If
Sorry.
only, I'm going to find that minivan.
But my dad painted the logo for my mom's real estate agency on the side of it, and I know that's my
Family
fox tattoo.
minivan. Yeah,
It all
yeah.
comes together.
Great.
Woohoo!
Woohoo.
Nicely done. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy birthday, Kevin!
I'm older. Still here. My last go around the sun in my 50s. Oh, Lord. It's a number, people. Make of it what you will. I know I was talking to my mom last night. You look out of your eyes. As long as I don't have to pass a reflecting device, the number doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Lots of thanks to everyone
He's
here.
in better shape than I am.
It's true.
It's true, because he works out every day, and I'm like, I'm gonna go have a soft serve.
But now you know you can keep making those decisions.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I'm like, oh God, I'm way better off than I was 10 years ago.
Yeah. I'm here to tell you.
Yeah.
You and your not even mid-30s. Thanks to Mike Duman and Jason McIntyre up at the Crow's Nest, Dr. Kenny Chen, Evil Dr. Chen. Brian, the greatest damn intern in life. Thanks again for the great run today, Bri. Great job. Angie Johnson on makeup. Corey Scott Levin on post. We missed Sam Levine. Brian Tyler on the theme. Who
Wow,
else? Just running
these
out
are
of
deep cuts.
Yeah. Who does the opening and closing graphics again?
Jeremy Shelton.
I probably should remember his name on camera. Jeremy Shelton, thank you so much. It's only been 7.5 years, Jeremy, and we cannot thank you enough for that. And the fine folks here at the West Side Comedy Theater. Until next time, and as always, get out of my face.